All right, good evening, Max Living Crew. Welcome to the second week of our challenge here. I've had a ton of great emails and a lot of good responses just after 1 week of really committing to this challenge here. So a lot of you have just decided which direction you're going to head as far as if you're going to do advanced plan or more of a core plan type approach for the next month. And that's great. It's just that's where we need to start is committing to something. Hopefully you found an accountability partner to help you through that, or at least to subconsciously help you make the right decisions day in and day out. Just because it is tough at the beginning, especially if you are making changes, changing old habits. We definitely can be creatures of habit for sure, but finding the right swaps and different things to do to make that an easy transition is definitely the way to go. So like I said, every week I wanted to hit a couple questions that you guys had that will help all of us out, because there was actually a couple different questions on at least what I wanted to cover first here tonight, which is salt. And I definitely used to live in the world where I thought salt was bad for you. I avoided salt like the plague if I could, even though I'm sure it was sneaking into a lot of like the processed or store-bought foods that I was getting at one point in time when I was in my undergrad. It never occurred to me that salt was just like anything else. There's the good and the bad, right? And more so the good sources and the bad sources. Just like we're finding out comes into play with more and more of our food, unfortunately. So when it comes to salt, I just want to help really change your mindset around on that. If you're stuck like I was in terms of thinking that salt is actually detrimental to your health, a lot of us have heard, especially on the cardiovascular side of things, that salt is a bad thing for our cardiovascular system and promotes high blood pressure and all of that. And I've seen it all too. I get it, but there's a vast difference between what normal table salt does and the effect that has on your body physiologically compared to what real good sources of salt actually do for you in your overall health. So when we're talking about salt, you've probably heard these things being thrown around, whether it's Himalayan salt like the pink salt or the Celtic sea salt. Those will come in a lot of different colors. If you go to Whole Foods, they have a lot of different types, or a lot of co-ops do as well. But really, when it comes down to it, salt is a necessity in our daily intake. Really, like we need good sources of salt. You don't need table salt. I'll go on that in a little bit. If given the choice, I will not put table salt on any of my food if I go out to eat. But I do load up on good sources of Himalayan salt or Celtic sea salt. And really that's because salt, and good sources of salt, are loaded with micronutrients and electrolytes. All things that we need for our body to function properly. In terms of, really across all different systems of our body. We are composed of dozens and dozens of different types of minerals and micronutrients, and really elements that come from this earth, right? And it's been shown that like Celtic sea salt has over 60 different micronutrients or electrolytes, different types of minerals. And Himalayan salt as much as like 82. So those are 84 even, and those are all the elements that you can actually find within the human body. So they're all in a very balanced ratio, so your body's actually getting what it needs to function properly. So you want to find good sources of salt because they're rich in those very things that our bodies need to function. So and getting enough of these throughout the day, every day, will help prevent imbalances. So electrolyte imbalances will lead you maybe even feeling foggy, fatigued. Your digestive system takes a toll. your nervous system relies on good, proper balances of those nutrients, as well as your musculoskeletal system. Your muscles reliant on proper ratios and balances of those nutrients, as well as really every other system in your body. So you'll definitely want to take in enough just to help balance all those things out, as it does support all those systems I just talked about. And so when you increase all these nutrients, it'll definitely help you raise all those levels of health, as well as taking in more good minerals actually helps you aid in digestions, and absorbing other nutrients as well. So from the very get-go, where it helps your stomach produce more hydrochloric acid, which we need to help break down proteins and other food, and hydrochloric acid actually helps us absorb other nutrients like some B vitamins like folate and B12, as well as zinc and some other minerals as well. So long story short, just make sure you're not skipping out on salt because you think it's not good for you, because that has been a very misleading lie that we have been told, kind of like fat is bad for you and fat makes you fat, or fat causes heart disease. That's a different story we'll get into at some other time. But I always start the morning with like a half a teaspoon, maybe even a whole teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt that I mix with good clean water, and then throughout the day I might mix in a little more as well, but I definitely put it on my food, so I'm getting a lot through that to help with the nutrient absorption and everything else I just talked about too. So let me know if you have any more questions with salt. Really the good and the bad, like you do need it for sure. If you have table salt, just throw it out, or maybe you can find some other use for it. Your body doesn't know what to do with that, just because regular table salt is actually derived from really not good sources that they eventually heat to over 1200 degrees, which destroys a lot of the chemical compounds, and then they do other processing things with that as well, so that it's really baked down to just pretty much just sodium chloride, which can throw off like your potassium levels and a lot of the intricate ratios that you need to be functioning properly as well. So I would just toss it out, and you can find Celtic sea salt or Himalayan salt for pretty cheap, and it lasts quite a while and makes a huge difference in your health. So that's what I got for you today. Hit me up if you do have any other questions regarding that, and then we'll be covering some other good stuff here down the road. Have a good night, guys.